Hello, welcome to our garden. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. We are now January 7th, 2023, and I need to start cracking on. Now, I was just sitting inside, enjoying a lovely cup of tea, which I've lost. It's left outside again. Although I nip outside, I had in my pocket. I thought, you know what? I think I should do another video. So, got a few things I need to get done today. I was a bit lazy end of last year, and there's quite a few bits and pieces, some beds that I didn't end up clearing. So I'll do them off camera because it looks like a mess at the minute. My corn, and there's quite a few sunflower stalks still in situ, so I need to get rid of them. But me and the missus went to B&Q because I love B&Q. Went to a garden centre. If you're watching this, garden centres are brilliant, you know that. And I got to raid their 50p barrels. For those of you who don't know, when seeds are coming to their last term to be able to successfully germinate, most of the shops drastically reduce them. Best shop of all time for that is Wilko. It's usually like 5p a pack. It's awesome. Did manage to hit Wilko and got myself a fair few seeds. So the seed tub is looking rather good. So this year should be a good one. But the one thing I wasn't able to find was melons. So I thought I'll go garden centre, try that, and I have found some more watermelons. So that's fantastic. So I'll be trying watermelons this year. The ones that I tried last year, they all went fairly well, but there weren't too many of them. I mean, they were probably the sweetest I've ever tasted. Maybe that's just because I grew them myself, but who knows? But they were really, really nice. And the cucamelons went well, although I won't be growing as many of them this year because they kind of took over, and I'm still dealing with the fallout of these things because they have just set like concrete to all of my trellising. I did end up putting some trellising across this section here, and that's ended up coming down because this stuff is just everywhere. But that is what it is. But today I'm going to follow some advice from some people that have said this to me. My blueberries last year did not do very well. They did okay when they were in the ground on their first couple of years. But I decided to put them in pots because I want a pretty little area, so the kids can come down and they can go through what we've now known as the berry walk. So they can go get the raspberries, the gooseberries, strawberries, blackberries, black currants, and then end up with loads more raspberries. So I want them in little pots for that because I haven't got the room to be able to put them all on the ground. But I just used my own potting mix from the composters and a little bit mixed in with some other stuff because I didn't do too well on composting last year, although this year my two Daleks look loaded with compost, so that'll be nice. So I've got some new pots for them, and I'm going to try putting it in ericaceous potting mix. So the difference from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is the ericaceous is a little bit more acidic, which is something that things like blueberries really, really like. I'm going to try a blackcurrant in there as well. I've just picked up another one. It's just behind the camera. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah. So I've got a nice little one here. Ben Hope. If you can see that. So pick this one up from B&Q. So I'm going to give that a go. Try not to take my eyes out with it. In the ericaceous mix and see how that does comparatively to my other one. Which the name escapes me now. I'll remember it before the end of the video, I'm sure. I probably won't. So that's my plan today. I'm going to dig up the last of the blueberries that are in the ground, get that into ericaceous mix along with the other three because one of them near died off last year, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to be able to film all of it because usually my darling daughter would be able to come and help me with these bits, but GCSEs and all that lot, so she is working her backside off at the moment, bless her, trying to study for that. So yeah, I'll take it outside and I'll show you what I'm going to be digging up. Right, so as you can see, as I said, I haven't yet got round to sorting these out. So here's some of my asparagus, left that all to tail off so they can get lots of energy in the root system. But hidden underneath this sage, just here, is a very, very nice little blueberry bush. See it stems down there. So what I'm going to do today is dig round it, lift her out, try and shake off some of this soil, which hasn't done too bad for it, but I want to try and see what happens with the ericaceous. I'm getting it done at this point because if you look, you can see that the buds haven't really started to form yet. And there are a couple of small ones, but we're nice and early on, so this is fully hibernating at the moment, which will benefit the plant because then it's not going to get disturbed too much. But yeah, so I'll dig this up and I'll see you in a moment. Right, so that came up a lot easier than I expected. And I think that's because we've got an ant problem. Unfortunately, it would appear I've lost quite a bit of the root ball as well. I'll try and flip this over without breaking any of it. So that is not as healthy as I'd wanted. It does still have lots of fresh roots, but it also has a bit of an ant colony inside it. So I don't hold up much hope now for this. But, so, what I've got, if I bring you down here, where do I flip the camera? There you go. So, got blueberry bush, I've got my blackcurrant, I've got some spent soil from last year, which I might actually have to take those 2 tomatoes out because they will seed. These are the 2 pots I'm going to use. Quite deep filled pots, and that's why I'm using some spent compost to fill the bottom. So I fill up to about yay high. Then up to here will be with the ericaceous potting mix, which I've got just here. And yeah, I'll start filling her up. I'll bring you back in a minute. Right then, so I've potted them all up, all of them, both of them. Turns out they were a lot deeper than I thought. I do this an awful lot. I don't know if anybody else does, but you see the size of your pot, rather than actually working out how much soil you go, yeah, that'll be all right, that'll be fine, and then it's all gone. So yes, I'll show you what I've done. So we've got the blueberry in here, and the blackcurrant in here. And what I've done with the blackcurrant is I have filled it up until where it was in the pot, and then ever so slightly higher. With this one, what I've tried to do is there was a nodule, which is literally maybe 1/4 of an inch below the soil just here. So I filled it up just above that nodule, because with the nodules, they do tend to sprout root networks of their own. So this might be a way of me saving this, because I know that last year, when you can see the little leaf on this one, and this is flexy, it's not crunchy, so this is still alive. If I can get a second bush off of this one, because this one was vastly sweeter than the other 2 that I had. Again, I don't know if that's to do with the fact that it was in the ground where there used to be a fire pit before we moved in this house, so the acidity level of that soil is quite high. That's why the asparagus is doing well in there. But either way, these ones are now both done. So I think I'm probably going to call it quit for today, because it is pouring down with rain out there. You can see by all the mist that's on the greenhouse now. I don't want to make mistakes I've done in previous years, where I've gone a little bit gun-ho. The way I'm trying to see this year is, with everything going up in price, I'm going to try and stick to some core things which I know work well, I know I can grow well, and just do larger volumes of that rather than experimenting with other things. There are still a number of things that I do want to try this year. I'll go through them in a moment, but the majority of my beds will be staples such as spuds, peas, beans. I'm going to try to grow some cabbages for next spring, because my son and I are we like having a bit of a giggle. He gave me 2 cabbages for Christmas this year, which was all fun. But yeah, right, I'll show you the seeds that I'm growing this year. So seed wise, what we're growing this year. So we're going to grow quite a few little bits and pieces which I know I can grow well. So firstly, staple, if I can keep the packet closed because my son helped me open that. Some broad beans, just some dwarf ones. So these ones are the Sutton. First time I grew them last year, seemed to get really nice yield out of them, so I'm more than happy with that. On the beans, I will also be growing some blotty beans, French dwarfs. These ones are super tasty and they look really pretty. Me and the wife love keeping loads of different bits and pieces all dried in a pretty little shelf we've got in the kitchen in glass jars. And these look lovely in it, and they're dead easy. You can put them in most things. Bulk out bolognese and things like that. That's what I tend to do with it. Cottage pies, things like that. So keeping on the theme of trying to keep costs low at home, grow your own. Carrot wise, I've got 2 varieties. So early Nantes, they'll be going in soon. Not just yet. Still got to wait for it to warm up, get through a little bit more of winter, but beginning of February, that's when I'll be putting them in. And I've got another variety of carrots which I'll grow after that, which is main crop, which is the Autumn King. It's actually Autumn King 2. I honestly don't know the difference. Autumn Kings are ones that I always grow. I've actually got some in the bed still, which have got to come out soon. But they'll do me well. I was saying about the melons. So it was Mulber that I grew last year. So incredibly tasty. Was really, really happy with them. So growing them again this year. In addition to that, I do also have, from the 50p remark, some watermelons. Never grown them before, but I quite like the idea of being able to grow them. £3 each in Tesco's. So give it a go, see what it's like. Courgettes, again, dead easy. No issue whatsoever. This is an F1 hybrid. I have got some other ones in here as well, which I'm going to give a go, I think, but not on larger scale as this. Where was it? Here it was, Black Beauty. Now, they do look quite tasty, so I'll be giving them a go as well. Herb-wise, we've already got oregano, we've got thyme, we've got sage, etc, etc, etc. Never have a problem with them. They've been sitting in situ for 3 years, I think we've been here now for, and never a problem. Cooking, I come out with a little basket, pick the herbs I want. Now, there's one herb I can never bloody grow, and I don't know why. If anybody has any tips, please comment, because it is infuriating, because me and my wife love basil. It's just such a nice herb. So I've tried 2 different varieties this year, because I've tried so many of them. So this is the first one, bog standard green one, sweet green this is called. Again, 50p. So I was always going to pick that one up. But then I saw another variety called Crimson King. That just looks absolutely beautiful. Now, I know I won't be able to grow it, and I know I'll get a few stems and then it will die off, but I'm still going to give it a go. Last year, instead of trying it in pots or just in the ground, I tried growing it with tomatoes. I saw a YouTuber, I can't remember who it was now, but they were saying about how growing certain things together is good for the plant. Obviously, I know that with quite a few things that I grow, but I didn't think about basil and tomato, and they were raving about it. So I gave it a go, and it all ended up incredibly leggy, very, very few leaves on it, and it just didn't work for me. My son's favourite is the radish. That one I am going to grow a lot of varieties of, because there's nothing nicer in a salad than colour. So, got some Diana, which are a lovely little purpley colour, which I think will be lovely. Got some that we tried last year, Icicle. Very, very peppery indeed, but really, really tasty. Some French breakfasts, because they're a classic and a staple, so no issues there. And then the last one, which was Globe, which I've cut the corner off, but these ones were my son's favourite, I think, so they were good. I tried aubergine last year. I planted it way too late, so it didn't work for me. The wife said she doesn't actually like aubergine anyway. She's not overly keen on it, or eggplant if you're watching this in some of the other countries. So I'm trying pinstripe. Now again, I saw this on one of the channels that I follow, and they're quite sweet little things. They're only about yay big, and people just seem to dice them up and then chuck them in quite a variety of dishes. So again, I thought that helped with bulking out the meals, so that's not a problem. Corn, because I have the 2 large, very low beds. Well, they're raised beds, I suppose, but they're only about 3-4 inches off the ground. But these should do quite nicely. I'm not going to plant anything else in those beds. Last year and the year before, I tried planting different things. I tried planting some lettuce last year underneath it once they'd started growing and things. I think it took away, if I'm totally honest, because I did not get the yield. I think I averaged roughly 1 cob per plant. They were sweet enough, but there was not really any proper food from them. So this year, I'm just going to do the entire double bed as corn, and hopefully that will turn out a little bit better for me. Fingers crossed. Peas. Now, I swear by Kelvin Wonder. Every single time, if there's a podding pea, that's the one that I'm going to grow. I've actually got a tray of them here already. I planted them last week. They're not to be full plants, they are just for the shoots, but they germinate so easily. I've tried them in pots, I've tried them in the beds, I've tried them everywhere. They're such a good plant. They climb really, really nicely, and if you can nurture them nice enough, they grow so tall. So my intention is on the north side of each of these beds, I'll put some trellis up, and I'm going to let these grow up each one. I'm going to plant, say, half a bed's worth every 2 weeks, and I'm just going to see if I can keep a steady supply of peas, because, again, staple in the kitchen. But my wife and daughters also like mange too, so I've got to find space for them. I'm not 100% sure where they're going this year, but they will go in, and yeah, ever so tasty. Oh, I also do have, there's not really a very good pack for you to be able to see what they are, but these are Linguina Fuco Nano. But again, super duper sweet, pretty little beans. You see that? And they're very, very tasty. They add quite a nice little bite to the food that we cook. I'll put them back in there in a minute because I've got no dexterity on my hands at the minute. Later on in the season, pumpkins will go in. So just straightforward. Bosh. I'm not overly keen on pumpkin. The wife kind of likes roast pumpkin, and we make a soup out of it, as most people do. Roast it a bit. But primarily, the kids enjoy growing them for Halloween. So that's what we do. Beetroot, can't go wrong. We chuck it in the ground, wait 2 months, pull it back out. It's such an easy vegetable to grow. I do like the idea of growing different squashes, so I'm also going to try and trellis some of these squash. These are called Summer Petit Pan. Again, saw somebody down the allotment this time with these ones, and there's just so many of them on the vine. It's somewhat surreal. So hopefully we'll have some success and see how they taste. Hopefully quite nice. And last but not least, the plan for the greenhouse is obviously tomatoes. I'm not sure what variety I'm going to do. I will obviously do some beef tomatoes because they're fantastic. I'd like to do plum, but I don't have good success with plum, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong with there. So I might put one plum tomato in here, but no more than that. And then a variety of cherry tomatoes. We tried Rapunzel last year. That was quite nice. It wasn't too bad at all. We tried a variety called chocolate. Wouldn't recommend that. The flavour's quite tart. It was okay with balsamic vinegar and salt, but otherwise they weren't very nice, if I'm honest. Tried cascading, a lot of yield from them, but again, it was quite bland, those ones. So I'm going to have a little look around the garden centres. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to germinate tomato seeds. I do have a few varieties here, which I might do as a fail-safe, but I like trying different varieties, you see, until I found one that I really like. That's kind of what I'm going to be going for. But cucumbers, that's the other thing my greenhouse is for. And ultimately, all the trellising up here, I just have cucumbers hanging. I saw somewhere in Asia, I don't know where, but I saw a YouTube short, and I'm quite keen on trying it, where what they did is once the cucumbers got to, it looked like about 2.5 inches, they simply hung something with a bit of weight on the bottom of it to keep them nice and straight, supported the top, and that just kept it really straight and made it grow really long. Because I did notice last year I had a lot of curly cucumbers, which are fine. There's no issue with curly cucumbers. But to store them, it'd be a lot easier if they were straight, because then they'll fit nicely in the vegetable drying rack and things like that. So I'm going to give that a go this year. But yeah, so that's the plan at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to go to a shop at some point and go, oh my God, I just need that seed. So inevitably, I do have my experimental bed still. I say experimental bed. It's the bed that I gave my wife and said, oh, grow lots of lovely flowers in there. And I've got about 200 tulips to plant. So there's some of them will end up in there. And last year, sweet potatoes ended up growing in there, which I didn't grow well. They were not successful at all. We had a couple of tiny little nodule things, but they were all right at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's the plan for this year. I have to get myself a new camera because at the moment I'm still on the phone. And it's quite difficult to set this up and then actually be doing things in the garden. As you've seen today with this video, trying to pot up these, it's a bit difficult. But yeah, so I'll make a few changes this year. I'm going to try and put a bit more effort into this YouTube thing this year because it seems like there are quite a few people who are enjoying it, and the wife's saying that I seem to be a lot better for doing it. So I appreciate you guys watching. But yeah, so for now, thank you ever so much for joining us in our garden. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you do enjoy this content, then please do like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you ever so much.